Hello everybody, and in today's video I'll be predicting all 10 games of Game Week 11 for the Premier League. And that game at the end, it is a massive game between Chelsea and the Gunners. This took me so long to actually decide on what to predict for that game, so long. And after I predict that game at the end of the video, I'll then move on to my goal of Game Week 10. Then I'll see how I did in my previous predictions and see how many points I actually got. We start on the 9th of November. It's the 3 PM kickoffs on the Saturday. It is at the Molineux Stadium. It's Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Southampton. And Wolves, this is a must-win game. Obviously it is. If you think about it, this is the easiest game possible that they could have. And they're at home. Put that together, they're going to have to win this. It's the easiest game possible. Southampton, come on, you've got your first win. It's time to allow Wolves to get their first win. In my opinion, Southampton, it could have gone Everton's way. It could have went down the middle. That was kind of like a 50-50 game, and you won it. Well done for winning it, but you're facing away from home Wolves, which in my opinion, should not be in last place. As against Crystal Palace, they played exceptional. Cunha is a world-class player. The crucial passes he made in key moments was sensational, and he's going to be a big factor into Wolves getting a win here in my opinion. And the fact that the last two games have got a bit of momentum, they're home against Southampton, I think they can push on and even get a clean sheet as Southampton. They've only scored 7 this season, so why not? Wolves, you're going to have it decently comfortable. This is your most winnable game so far of the season, and you're going to win this, especially at home, 2-0, decently comfortable, as Wolves face Southampton. We move over to the London Stadium. It's West Ham United versus Everton. And Everton, I do not see you losing this game, because West Ham, what an amateur defence to not pick Chris Wood. No one competed with Chris Wood to jump with him, at least attempting to block the Chris Wood shot. Poor amateur defending, and they've got no Kudes, they've got no Alvarez after they are both suspended. But I feel like they can get something in this game. It's definitely one of the more winnable games in my opinion, but I feel like just going down the middle. Everton, you're not losing it because West Ham is playing terrible. And West Ham, I see you getting something because you're at the London Stadium and you're going to be desperate for something. And I know there is quality in there. So, both teams lost at the weekend. And now both teams are going to get a point here. I'm going down the middle, sitting on the fence for a 1-1 draw between West Ham and Everton. We move to the G-Tech Community Stadium and it's Brentford versus AFC Bournemouth. AFC Bournemouth, for the first time ever in history, have finally beaten Manchester City. And Bournemouth, you're beating Man City, you beat Arsenal, you got a point against Aston Villa. You're winning this game, especially a Brentford side, which in my opinion, made a lot of sloppy passes. Honestly, their pass accuracy must have been very low, because I thought it was pretty amateur by Brentford on how they just had much less intensity than Fulham. Fulham dominated them. There were a few signs here and there near the end of the game, Brentford. But honestly, you got outplayed, Brentford. Honestly, you did. Thomas Frank, great tactics when they do go on some good attacks and get a pocket of possession. But other than that, Brentford, you did not look good against Fulham in my opinion. And because you're facing Bournemouth, which have taken down the two biggest sides in the Premier League, yeah, Bournemouth, you're definitely winning this quite comfortable after I'm not impressed with Brentford. I'm going for a 3-1 quite comfortable win towards the Cherries. We move to Selhurst Park. It's Crystal Palace versus Fulham. Fulham, you need to get your shooting boots on because you should have scored much more. It was a great win at the end there against Brentford. Fully deserved overall, and they have been playing very, very well this season. So they're not losing it. Crystal Palace, I think they're on a bit of a bounce back here. So they've got a bit of momentum. They won against Tottenham. They've just gotten a point against Wolves. So they've got a bit of momentum. And honestly, I feel like I'm going to sit on the fence again on another game here. Because both sides, I think, look very similar in quality. I think both sides can make a good mid-table finish. Both sides looks pretty good. Both sides are going to have a bit of momentum coming into this game. So I'm going to go down the middle for a 1-1 draw. Cannot split the sides in this little London derby between Palace and Fulham. We move to the Amex Stadium and it's Brighton and Hove Albion versus Manchester City. And coming into this game, Brighton can definitely get something. Man City, close shavings against Wolves. close shavings against Southampton, dropped points against Newcastle, dropped points in the Champions League against Inter, dropped points against 10-man Arsenal, and then lost it against Bournemouth, and then got knocked out of the Carabao Cup against Tottenham. I've listed all the games where they did not perform like the usual Man City, and they've got injuries to Rodrigo, Oscar Bob, Jack Grealish, Ruben Diaz. Now I believe John Stones. They've got massive injuries, they're away from home, and they've been dropping points and not looking like the best Man City that we know. And Brighton, yes, you lost it in the Carabao Cup against Liverpool. Yes, you lost it in the league against Liverpool. But I have to admit, in the league game, I felt like they could have probably got a point in that game. They obviously bottled the win there, but they played very well against Liverpool. They gave it a good shot. And against Man City, the fact that Bournemouth won against them, I think they can get themselves a point. Especially that Man City have got so many injuries and have been dropping points. Brighton are playing Man City at the perfect time. Man City also have Champions League football, so they're going to be tired from that. Whilst Brighton, they can relax. And they don't have no European football, so I can definitely see Brighton getting something in this game. And that's exactly what I'm going for. I'm going for a Desmond 2-2 draw between Brighton and Manchester City. We move to Anfield. It's Liverpool versus Aston Villa. Liverpool, they weren't exactly convincing against Brighton, but Arne Slot has got Liverpool cooking. Those two substitutions really did make a good impact. Yes, I know the first half Brighton probably deserved it and it wasn't great convincingly, but they're home here and they still got it back to back against Brighton in the Carabao Cup and League, and they're doing pretty well. They managed to get a point against Arsenal as well, which is a good team, and they're doing pretty well in the Champions League. They've only had one blip up against Nottingham Forest, and they're facing an Aston Villa side which, throughout the game as a whole, they had pockets where they played really well, Aston Villa, but overall Tottenham, they played better against them. Aston Villa, you've dropped points against Ipswich Town. You've dropped points where I feel like you shouldn't have dropped points, and you got battered against Tottenham. I don't see you winning this game. I think Liverpool look much better than you in recent time. And if you play like that against Tottenham, you're not winning against Liverpool. You're going to give it a good go though. You score a lot of goals, but as we've seen against Tottenham, you also concede a lot of goals. So Liverpool, you've definitely got a chance, especially if Tottenham beat Aston Villa. You definitely can, especially at home, and then the way you're playing is fantastic. So I'm going for a very high-scoring 3-2 win towards Liverpool as they face Aston Villa. We move to Old Trafford. It's Manchester United versus Leicester City. Manchester United have to be winning this. In the Chelsea game, I don't think they played particularly amazing. They did not play that well. They still probably deserved at least a point in that game. But if I would go for a winner, Chelsea probably deserved it. Obviously, their new manager, Ruben Amorim, will be coming in after the Leicester game and the Europa League game. So they are going to be tired, but they've already proven themselves against Leicester in the Carabao Cup. They still did good enough to get a point against Chelsea. And overall, they're home. And Leicester, you probably deserved nothing in that game against Ipswich, because that should have probably been a penalty for Ipswich, and the red card was very harsh. So Leicester, you probably deserve to lose that game. So overall, Man United look like the better side. They're going to dominate this game, but in Man United fashion, they're going to miss a lot of chances as they have done in crucial games. So they're only just about going to win this 1-0 come the final whistle as Man United face Leicester. We move to the City ground. It's Nottingham Forest versus Newcastle United. What a great Super Sunday this is going to be. Nottingham Forest, obviously, what a great start to the season they've had. They're currently sitting in third place. They've got the second best defensive record. And now they're at home against Newcastle. They definitely have a huge chance of getting at least something in this game. But Newcastle United, they're back. The problems that they had with goal scoring has been fixed through Alexander Isak. In the last 3 games that he's played, he's scored in all of them. And Newcastle, we beat Chelsea. Eddie Howe's planned worked to perfection. The high intensity pressure capitalised Chelsea. And Newcastle United, with the goal scoring, in my opinion, possibly fixed, and with us having momentum through the win through Chelsea, through the win through Arsenal, I think we can also get something. Nottingham Forest, full credit to you. You're doing fantastic. But now you're facing Newcastle United, which is a different kettle of fish compared to the previous 2 games when you faced Leicester and West Ham. And you only just about got it against Crystal Palace, when I thought it probably deserved to be a draw. So it's going to be a harder game against Newcastle, and I think you will fall off and you won't hit top 7. But for now, this season, I just feel like it's too much to ask, and eventually something's gonna crack. And going against a Newcastle side which has just turned everything around, I think this is the perfect time to when they would lose a game. But I could be wrong. Prove me wrong, Nottingham Forest. I would love to see you finishing in the top 4 because it's something different. But Forest, you could easily get a draw or even a win against Newcastle. But I am going to go for my boys Newcastle, as I am going for a very common scoreline, 2-1 to the Toon. Come on, Newcastle. Moves to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Tottenham Hotspur versus Ipswich. Ipswich, you're unlucky against Leicester, but you've got no chance against Tottenham. This would be the most Spursy thing if Tottenham beat Man City, knock them out of the Carabao Cup, beat Aston Villa, and thrash Aston Villa even, and then they just lose to Ipswich. I could imagine that happening. Ipswich, you're unlucky to get the red card. You're unlucky not to get that penalty decision just before, but you're facing Tottenham, which did really well against Aston Villa. I'm not going to go for an Ipswich win. I'm going to play it safe. And Tottenham, you've got this one in the bag, especially at home. You're playing fantastic. You're winning this 3-1 as Tottenham face Ipswich. We move to the biggest game of the week. It's at Stamford Bridge. It's a London derby between Chelsea and the Gunners. And Arsenal, the last 3 games in the Premier League, have not got a win. And they have been dropping points. And facing Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, I could easily see them dropping points against Chelsea, considering how bad they've been performing, especially for the level that Arsenal should be playing at. And a quality side like Arsenal should be doing better. And you know what? Chelsea, I think their depth is fantastic, that they're gonna finish in a European spot, but against Newcastle, they played poor. They were slow to progress up the field, and they looked very flat, not intense, couldn't match Newcastle's intensity, and Newcastle capitalised them because of it. When they do get on the attack, and they actually properly push forward, they utilise the wingers really well, and they can definitely get a goal because of that, especially that Arsenal, even though everyone says they've got a good defence, including myself, they have been conceding a lot of goals, so I do see them getting a goal because of that. But Chelsea, they didn't play well against Newcastle. They didn't play amazingly against Manchester United, but still, they had the same problems. Playing out from the back was very slow to progress. And even Man United at times, sometimes capitalised them to get a chance off of them playing slow at the back. So Arsenal, players like Declan Rice is going to be able to wing back the ball from Chelsea's slow progression up the field and capitalise them. And they're going to be able to score because of players like Declan Rice against Chelsea's problems that they have faced. This has to be a win, and they're due a win. They haven't won for the last 3 games in the Premier League, and they still played good against Liverpool. And to win the league title, they have to get a win. And I can't see Arsenal going another game without a win. It just doesn't seem possible with that quality of side. So I'm going for another common scoreline in this video for the classic 2-1 win, and it's obviously towards the Gunners. And now goal of game week 10, and can I say, I'm not going to mention all of them, but Harry Wilson's goal, that was a great fancy goal. But a goal that happened before that, Jan Alt's goal, I'm going to go for goal of game week 10. It was close between those two, but it was just a great strike, and he's probably never scored a strike like that in his life. But how did I do in game week 10? Well, here it is, right here. 5 points. It's an improvement from the previous week where I got 3 points, but it's still not amazing. Let's push that aside, and overall that puts me on 62 points out of 200 points. And to be honest, the last 4 or 5 weeks in predictions, I've only got 3 to 6 points. That's pretty poor, and I'm going to blame it on football being random, but it could be me just being really bad at predictions. Either way, I'm going to punch you to my next video that hopefully you are going to watch. Toodle pip!